Hello, and welcome to Tech Heretic, a book review by Thomas Sedlak. Let's start with the introduction. Tech Heretic by Clifford Stoll is a self-described thorough detonation of the hype surrounding computers, with an emphasis on their use in education. Clifford Stoll, a best-selling author and internet pioneer, stands in a cynical position, questioning why computer literacy is important and if it really is worth all the effort and excitement. While dated, he raises good points, though they're obscured by anecdotes and bias. His droll wit is an entertaining challenge to the hype around technology of the day. Now on to the summary. In Stoll's effort to skeptically speak on the practicality and usefulness of computers in schools, he makes a few key arguments. He argues that a good school does not need computers and a bad one will not do much better with them, that good teachers do not need multimedia support, that computers are objects of entertainment to most, and that overall computers cause more harm than good to a student. On to the analysis. The author's argument is that Stoll's arguments revolve around several interconnected points. He expounds the costs of computers for a school, pointing out that the funding to buy and maintain a computer lab takes money away from other school facilities. He states how the reliance on computers and calculators weaken basic math skills like number familiarity, arithmetic, and basic algebra. He compares distance learning to correspondence schools, calling both inferior to live courses. He points out the importance of an inspiring teacher and human contact, but in the same breath argues in favor of library books and journals. He even goes so far as to say that a focus on computer literacy causes students to miss out on other skills that would make them more well-rounded, seemingly without basis. To start, there are some valid points mixed within this. I cannot agree more in saying that computers are not a replacement for an inspiring teacher, and that human contact is a vital part of education. Similarly, I agree with his statements regarding distance learning and find the comparison apt. However, the rest of what he says are either misconceptions, false equivalencies, or utterly untrue concepts. The book was written in 1999, a time when computers and technology in general looked very different to today, 19 years later. In a very short time, technology has improved in every feasible way. Computer labs remain an investment, but it's no longer the case that they are prohibitively expensive or swiftly outdated past the point of usefulness. Additionally, the argument of their cost drawing away from other school resources is asinine. It's obviously true, but lends nothing to the actual argument unless we already assume that technology is inferior and the less valuable resource when compared to whatever is losing funding. Additionally, it's worth noting that today, students are able to bring their own technology frequently. Stoll clearly believes, according to his belief, that books and journals are more useful than internet thinks, but that very statement is one I cannot even wrap my head around. I can have countless journals at my fingertips with merely a click of a button thanks to computers. Additionally, nowadays most libraries store a vast amount of their content in digital form accessible online. I think it's safe to assume that these points may have held water in 1999, but have long since dried up. There are, however, 2 points that he argues that I find untenable. Firstly, Stoll claims that teaching students computer literacy causes them to be less well-rounded due to time lost for learning other skills. Now, it is clear to me that Stoll and I have very different ideas as to what computer literacy even is. To Stoll, it seems to simply be being able to use a computer, run programs, and so on. To me, he seems to have forgotten a key element, which is that students must be taught to process and interpret the vast amounts of information that is available to them. I say this because he goes so far as to claim that we are confusing information for wisdom, that the unfiltered information is useless without the ability to filter it with wisdom. This is a key part of computer literacy today, and I cannot imagine that it wasn't in 1999. To me, that point is either deliberately misleading or foolishly misunderstood. To add on to that, his claim that is causing them to be less well-rounded, I cannot imagine a skill that a student could lack that would make them more unrounded than computer literacy. Secondly, Stoll claims that reliance on computers and calculators weakens basic math skills. As someone with both a passion and a degree for math, this is an old, tired point that reflects both the year this book was written and the author's own limited understanding of what math even is. While it is true that reliance on calculating devices will erode the ability to memorize things like times tables and rote algorithms, any math teacher who relies on those is simply not teaching math. Reliance on technology cannot degrade an understanding of why math works, which is what students need to spend time focusing on anyways. Perhaps in 1999 not everyone had a calculator in their pocket, but we do today, and if you don't, you have easy access to a device that can at least give you a resource telling you how to do the math by hand. Neither calculation nor memorization are important today, and they haven't been for quite some time. In all probability, they never will be again. It's much better to focus on logical reasoning and pattern recognition when it comes to basic fundamental math skills. The evaluation overall. In the end, most of Stoll's points crumbled with age, and with them the arguments they support collapse. There are, however, 2 points that remain just as true today as ever. An inspiring teacher and human interaction are both vital parts of education. However, where Stoll saw technology as an attempt to replace both of these, I see technology as a tool to aid in both. Technology lets us stay in touch with fellow students outside of class and gives a teacher so many new ways to inspire their students. In conclusion, High-Tech Heretic shows its age, with much of what it has to say simply being outdated. Indeed, some of what it said was dubious even in 1999. The author understands computers and the internet of the day quite well, but he doesn't seem to know much about education ultimately. Even so, he makes valid points that we should remember. Technology is just a tool, and it can be used to make a class better or worse depending on the teacher using it. All the more reason to educate people on how to use it well, I'd say. Thank you very much. That is the end of my book review.